Welcome to My Steel Commodity Flux, the podcast where we track the trends, turns, and turbulence shaping global commodity markets. This is Nikki Fu, Commercial Director at My Steel Global, responsible for growth strategy across our new business sectors. As China enters the first year of its 15th five-year plan, we are launching a series of topical podcasts over the coming weeks, looking at the policy priorities, industrial changes, and market opportunities taking shape during this important period. In today's episode, we'll explore what these changes mean in practice, from the growing role of non-fossil energy and the changing focus within renewables to the continued role of natural gas and the shifting positions of oil and coal. We'll also look at what this could mean for investment and business opportunities across China's energy sector. Joining us today is Liao Na, Chief Consultant of Energy Policies and founder of GL Consulting. Liao Na, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you, Nikki. Glad to be back.
Let's start with the broader picture. The 15th five-year energy plan points to a shift in how China's energy system is structured. Instead of relying on fossil fuels as the foundation, with renewables playing a supporting role, non-fossil energy is taking a more central position, while fossil fuels increasingly serve as a backstop. What is behind this shift, and how does it differ from the 14th five-year plan?
China is moving beyond simply adding renewable production capacity and toward building an energy system that can make better use of that capacity. During the 14th five-year plan period, renewable production capacity expanded very rapidly. The challenge now is to integrate that capacity more effectively into the wider energy system. By 2030, wind and solar are targeted to account for more than half of China's total installed power capacity, while non-fossil sources are expected to provide 50% of national electricity generation. At the same time, coal and oil consumption are expected to peak before 2030. This makes the transition much broader than capacity growth alone. It also involves upgrading the power system, expanding energy storage and grids, and adapting conventional energy sources to a system led by non-fossil energy.
That brings us to renewables. With production capacity having grown so quickly, the focus now appears to be shifting toward utilization and system integration. What are the main challenges for China's renewable energy sector at this stage?
A large part of the challenge is making better use of the capacity that is already in place. Wind and solar will continue to expand, but their growing share of the energy mix puts greater demands on flexibility, storage, and system integration. This is where energy storage becomes particularly important. China's new energy storage target of 300 gigawatts has been brought forward from 2035 to 2030. The acceleration reflects how quickly the sector has already developed. By the end of 2025, China had installed around 136 gigawatts of new energy storage, 4.5 times the original 14th five-year plan target and already close to the previous 2030 target. As non-fossil energy takes up a larger share of the system, long-duration storage and other flexibility solutions will become increasingly important. Technologies such as redox flow battery and compressed air energy storage are also moving toward commercialization. Storage is therefore moving from being a supporting technology to becoming an integral part of the energy system.
The transition also goes beyond generation and storage, with more opportunities emerging around green power consumption and system integration. Where do you see the most relevant opportunities for businesses, particularly for companies looking to participate in China's energy transition?
China's renewable equipment manufacturing and EPC supply chains are already highly localized, so the room for foreign suppliers in these areas is relatively limited. There is more potential in asset-light areas, including green power and green electricity certificate trading. This could be particularly relevant for multinational manufacturers in China that need to meet RE100 requirements. Cross-border grid interconnections and virtual power plant software and algorithms are also areas worth watching. So rather than simply supplying equipment, companies can increasingly participate by providing the services and technologies needed to operate and integrate a more complex energy system.
Let's turn to natural gas, which has a somewhat different position in the plan. It is the only fossil energy source without an explicit consumption cap. Why does natural gas retain this position as China accelerates its energy transition?
Natural gas is being positioned as a transition fuel alongside renewable energy. China's natural gas demand is still expected to grow during the 15th five-year plan period, although at a slower pace than during the 14th five-year plan. Annual demand growth is projected at around 3.5% from 2026 to 2030, compared with 5.5% previously. The sources of that growth are also becoming more concentrated. LNG-fueled heavy-duty trucks and flexible gas-fired power generation are expected to account for much of the additional demand. On the supply side, the focus is on China's increasing domestic production, particularly from unconventional resources, while also expanding pipelines, gas storage, and LNG receiving capacity. Hydrogen blending has also been included in a five-year plan for the first time. This points to a broader role for existing gas infrastructure as China moves through the energy transition, with gas transmission networks gradually evolving toward integrated gas hydrogen transport.
So natural gas still has room to grow, but its role is becoming more targeted. Further along the fossil fuel spectrum, oil and coal are heading in a different direction, with both expected to reach a peak before 2030. Let's start with oil. As demand approaches its peak, how is China balancing that shift with the need for energy security?
China's oil strategy is becoming more focused on security and resilience rather than demand-driven growth. Oil consumption is expected to peak before 2030, while maintaining domestic crude oil production at around 200 million tons per year is positioned as a supply security floor rather than a growth target. And China is also looking to diversify its import sources across the Middle East, Russia, Central Asia, Africa, and Latin America, while strengthening 4 strategic import corridors and expanding strategic petroleum reserves. The focus is therefore moving beyond securing crude volumes to making the entire supply chain more resilient. For businesses, this could create opportunities around more flexible long-term contracts, diversified direct procurement, and strategic storage, rather than simply trading crude.
Coal appears to be undergoing an even broader change in its role. If coal consumption is expected to peak before 2030, what does this mean for China's energy system?
Coal is not disappearing from the energy system. Rather, its role is changing. China's coal consumption is expected to plateau at around 4.95 to 5.10 billion tons before 2030 and then gradually decline. Thermal coal demand growth is expected to slow, while coal chemicals, including coal to olefins, coal to ethylene glycol, and coal to aromatics, are expected to provide a larger share of incremental demand. In other words, coal is increasingly being used not only as a fuel, but also as an industrial feedstock. At the same time, coal will remain the cornerstone of China's energy security, with a target of 100 million tons per year of reserve production capacity by 2030. This also creates business opportunities in areas such as advanced coal chemical equipment and EPC CCUS and coal bed methane and coal mine methane development.
Looking across renewables, natural gas, oil, and coal, the direction is becoming clearer. China is not simply replacing one energy source with another. Instead, the role of each energy source is being reshaped within a more integrated system. From an industry perspective, what stands out most in the 15th Five-Year Energy Plan?
China's energy transition is now entering a new stage. The first stage was largely about building capacity, particularly in renewable energy. The next stage is about integrating that production capacity, improving system flexibility, and redefining the roles of conventional energy sources. Renewables will see greater attention to utilization, storage, and integration. For natural gas, the focus will be on supporting the transition to flexible generation, transport, and other targeted sources of demand. Oil policy will place greater emphasis on supply security and resilience as consumption approaches its peak. Coal, meanwhile, will undergo a gradual transition while retaining its role in energy security and expanding its use as an industrial feedstock. The 15th Five-Year Plan is therefore going beyond targets for individual energy sectors. It is reshaping how those sectors work together within China's future energy system.
Thank you, Liao Na, for joining us and sharing these insights. And for those who would like to follow these developments in a more structured and forward-looking way, GL Consulting acts as your China decoder, helping turn complex policy and market signals into clearer, decision-ready insight for global energy and chemicals professionals. Reach out to us for a sample issue of the latest China Policy Perspective Report for regular analysis of China's policy direction, energy security priorities, and the broader market implications of geopolitical disruption in the context of China's 15th Five-Year Plan. To put the bigger picture into context, China's 15th Five-Year Plan, the next energy and chemicals Playbook provides a comprehensive view of the structural changes, policy priorities, and strategic shifts shaping China's energy and chemicals sectors over the next 5 years. Reach out to us for a sample issue and explore how the Playbook can help put these developments into a broader, strategic context. For more information, please visit mysteel.net or contact us at inquiries@mysteel.com. Thanks for listening to My Steel Commodity Flux, and thank you again, Liao Na, for joining us today. If you found today's episode helpful, be sure to subscribe for more analysis on global commodity markets. Until next time, keep tracking the flows.